Okay, good afternoon, and welcome to the first of 3 sessions on Office 2019. My name is Chanda Wong. I am a Senior Product Marketing Manager with Office Marketing, and I'm joined on stage by Brad Karab, a Senior Program Manager with Office Deployment. Together, we will tell you about what Office 2019 is, what Office 2019 is not, and why it will make your life easier. So let's get started. So I know a lot of you probably came in yesterday, maybe even this morning, so thank you for being here. I know we're probably the one session between you and drinks. So I want to start it off with a quick round of true or false. Office 2019 is the next update to Office 365. If you think true, raise your hand. And if you think false, yes. All right. That is indeed the case. Office 2019 is not the next update to Office 365. Office 2019 is the next update to the on-premises version of Office. Earlier this afternoon, our CVP for Office and Windows Marketing, Jared Spataro, made that announcement, which means that starting from today, commercial customers can go out to purchase Office 2019 clients. In the next few weeks, the Office 2019 server products will become available. Office 2019 is not an update to 365, so this is the on-premises version of Office. It will combine feature enhancements for end users with streamlined administration tools for the IT professional. So for the end user, that means features to help you create presentations and documents with ease, as well as to manage email and content more easily so that you can focus on the things that matter. So I would like to demo some of these features that are coming to Office 2019. So let's jump right in. I'm starting on a Mac device here. While most of the talk will focus on Windows, I did want to make sure to show some of these features and how they render on a Mac. So if I switch over to number 8. You can see that I have a couple of slides prepared already for this product called Contoso Mark 8. It's a quadcopter. Now, this is very important to Office 2019, but does anyone know what is the difference between a quadcopter and a drone? And you can get a hat for it. Anyone? That's correct. Brad will give you a hat. So I have these couple of slides on the quadcopter. I want to show you at least what I've produced so far before we can consider adding anything to this. Now, some of you may have already seen these features that I'm about to demo because they are already part of Office 365. But if your users have been on or are on Office 2010, 2013, 2016 Perpetual, these will be new since they're coming to Office 2019. So you can see here that the quadcopter moves pretty seamlessly from slide to slide, very cinematic motion. And it's not because I'm using multiple transitions or different types of animations. I'm using just one feature, and that's PowerPoint Morph. So that's one transition that you can use to move images pretty cinematically. And so with Morph, I would like to add a new slide to this deck. And what I can do is duplicate this slide, remove some of this other content, And this is a 3D image, which is also new to Office 2019. So I want to move it down to the corner. And now it leaves a lot of room on the slide itself for me to add other content. I don't necessarily want the quadcopter to be the center of attention here. So we can just see what that looks like. And you saw how I was a little bit shaky with moving the quadcopter down, but when it actually presents, it smooths out all those bumps, and it moves very smoothly down as if it was flying down to the bottom of the screen. So here I want to add some data about where the quadcopter is sold, and I have this data in an Excel spreadsheet. So if I move over to Excel, I have the states they're sold in and how many stores. I can insert a data visualization, specifically a 2D map. And this is a map of the US. You can also do world maps and add the data labels where I see, hey, we have a presence on the East Coast, a little bit in the South, on the West Coast, but there's really a gap in the Midwest. And so if I can add this to my presentation, and as I talk through, where we want to expand our presence, this would be a handy visualization for that. Moving over to Word. Actually, let me jump to Outlook since I'm here already. I have my inbox here. And since all of you are here, I have a few minutes. I can draft up a mail that I can choose to send later. And so I don't want to necessarily jinx myself or anything. I want to make sure this presentation goes really well. And so I can go to draft and choose to send this mail later, maybe 7 p.m., and have that filed away for later. So this is a new feature coming to Outlook for 2019 for Mac. And one more thing to show you here. In Word, that I find quite useful is focus mode. So what this does is it blurs out everything else, the toolbar, the file menu. I know many of you, like myself, I have 15 minutes between now and the next meeting. Outlook's blinking at me, my IM window's blinking at me, but I just need to get something done. I need to make these edits. If I put on focus mode, that allows me to concentrate on this document, make those changes, move on. So that's a really nifty function coming to 2019 as well. So if I showed you some features on the Mac, I'd like to move over to the Windows machine and show you some additional features. So if I switch over to number 7, I'm here again in a PowerPoint deck. Imagine I am an interior design firm. I'm working on a presentation to pitch a potential partner. You can see I have a couple of different sections. I have a planning section. I have a section on human factors. There's just quite a few here. And I don't want to lose her in this conversation. I want to make sure that I have her attention. And so a new feature within PowerPoint is Zoom. And what that lets me do is create a summary Zoom, and I can select what slides are at the beginning of each section. And it inserts a new slide here for me. So now, I'm talking through this presentation. We're starting on this first slide. We're moving into planning. We will eventually talk about human factor, materials, lighting, color, all these different areas. And as I'm going through the presentation, it will constantly anchor me back at this main summary slide so that for the audience, you know what I have covered and where I'm going. And I don't need to step out of presentation mode, break the focus. It's pretty seamless in that way. So we're going through human factors. We get to a design that we would potentially work with her on. And I think at this point of the presentation, I might want to do some on-the-fly work on this deck. So I can kind of show her what I mean by adding that human factor to a room. I have a stylus here in my hand. You can also use your finger. But we've added a roaming pencil case that will work across apps that will allow me to draw. And so we've added additional inking functionality to this for Office 2019. I see there are 8 chairs. I might want to open up the room, remove some of the chairs, so just let me just pick the pen. And I can just give her a sense of, what that could look like. Maybe we want to add a piece of artwork to the wall. And so I can draw a piece of art. Well, that came out not the shape I wanted, mainly because my finger's a little wobbly, but it does do ink to shape. And so less of a square rectangle and a little bit more lopsided. But this actually gives me an idea, because in the zoom functionality, what I can do is add a slide zoom. And because we're talking about what the room could look like and how we want to conceptualize it, I might want to jump to the types of materials that might be in this room. And I have a slide for that, but it's a little bit further down in my deck. So what a slide zoom allows me to do is pick the slide that I'm thinking about, which is laminate versus wood, insert it. Let me just exit out of the draw mode. I can shrink this down a little bit. And move it up here as if it was a piece of artwork. Add a border. I can also have it return to zoom, meaning that once I jump to that slide, I can jump back to this part of the presentation. And even change the image. So if I wanted to actually put like a Picasso on the wall or something. So let's just see how this looks. And that takes me right to that slide. So that way, in your presentation, you can do sort of that on-the-fly customization, depending on where your conversation goes, if you can kind of anticipate that as well. And so if I move to the next slide, it brings me back right here, and I can just continue forward. I also want to add a slide at the end of this presentation to show that the company not only cares about interior design, but also about sales and profits. And so I want to include some of the sales pipeline data that I have in a visualization that could be interesting to share. I can insert a funnel chart, which is great for showing sales pipeline, things like web conversions, and then pop this into the PowerPoint deck later on. So those are some of the features that are coming to 2019. Two more that I'd like to show you is in Word, similar to the focus mode I mentioned earlier that's for Office 2019 for Mac. There is this black theme that is applied across Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, and Outlook. And it does increase the contrast for people who want to have that contrast when they're looking at their screen for long periods of time. There is improvements to the learning tools that, let me just check here. Yeah, in learning tools, which also make a more immersive reading and editing experience for users who choose to have that. So to quickly go over this, we can choose sepia. For the background, we can change the background to make it a little bit easier to read. There's text spacing. You can break up words by syllables to make that reading a little bit easier, and also read aloud. So I'm going to play this. We can choose to start from any point within the document itself. So I'm going to start here.
Many of which have much fewer than 1,000 living trees.
I can speed up and slow down.
Because of this, its dense animal biodiversity, its higher taxonomic
Not that that's very useful for anyone.
And the rarity of the habitat, the Amazon is also considered to be a distinct ecoregion.
Amazon rainforest, Amazon plants, Amazon river animals. The Amazon rainforest is an
So we have different voices, and we have different ways to interact with the document as well. You can go back, reread, speed up, slow down, whatever works for the end user. Last but not least, one of the features that I really value is the focused inbox in Outlook. So what focused inbox does is it splits your mail between the things that are important and then the other category. At work, I am part of a distribution list that for people who want to sell tickets to Seahawks games and concerts and shows and all this stuff. And I love that list because I got to go watch Waitress last weekend based off tickets that I bought from someone else. But I also do not want those emails coming in every 2 minutes into my main inbox. I want to just kind of go to them when I want to see something and that's call it a day. And so focused inbox lets me focus on the important work emails and then also have my other inbox for all that other fun stuff. So those are some of the features coming to 2019. I'm going to switch back over to my presentation. And pop quiz. Anyone can name what the feature is at the bottom of the screen that just came up? Which Zoom? Yeah, slide Zoom. So what I will do is, because my demos all work, so I can skip to the next slide, is go straight to this slide, which is another round of true or false. All the features in Office 2019 are already in Office 365 ProPlus. Raise your hand. True or false? I was trying to pick the person who raised their hand first, but then I couldn't see who that was. So we're just going to do who says true and who says false. All the features in Office 2019 are already in Office 365 ProPlus. True. All the features are just a subset of what is in Office 365 ProPlus. Office 365 ProPlus will have all of this and then way more. And I have a slide in a little bit that will talk about this. But they're new if you're coming, if you're coming from 2010, 2013, or 2016 on-premises version, but they're not new if you already have users on Office 365. And so with each new version of Office, we've added features and functionality above what was already there. And this is the case with Office 2019 as well. But there's still a large gap between what we have in Office 2019 and what will come, or what is in Office 365 ProPlus. Office 365 ProPlus has features in collaboration, for security, intelligence, additional accessibility features that aren't a part of the earlier versions of Office or Office 2019. And the best thing about that is that we are continually adding features to this on a monthly basis. So Office 365 ProPlus is all the apps that you know, across web, mobile, PC, Mac. And it is the most productive and most secure version of Office with the lowest total cost of operations. So it's the best version of Office that we have. And I recognize that this is a little bit of a departure from how we've talked about, say, Office 2016, where we had Office 2016 on premises and then Office 2016 for Office 365. So we've made it a lot easier, at the very basic level of how we talk about the two differently. So obviously the difference here, if it says Office 2019, it's that one-time purchase with a subset of features to 365, and it doesn't receive feature updates. And then, of course, Office 365 will be the subscription version, receives updates across, as I said, collaboration, security, intelligence, so on and so forth. So who do we intend Office 2019 for? A couple of categories of customers. There are those customers that are on air-gapped networks. The best way to think about it, that I like to think about it, is submarines. Some desktops in regulated or restricted industries. Public kiosk-type computers like ATM machines, for example. And software training labs that may not be able to take regular updates. So with that being said, we recognize that customers are in various stages in their journey to the cloud, which is why we have Office 2019. So with that context, I want to hand it over to Brad to talk to you about how to deploy Office 2019 and how it would make that transition to Office 365 that much simpler.
Thanks, Chanda. I get to start with one more true or false. Raise your hand if you think Office 2019 is deployed with click to run and works with our latest OS, hint Windows 10. Raise your hand if you think that is true. And raise your hand if you think that is false. Few people. The answer is yes, that is true. So we're bringing some of the biggest changes to deployment with Office 2019 that we have ever seen. We're going to talk today about some of the changes that we have made, bringing modern deployment technology to everyone, including our on-prem volume license customers. We're going to talk about the work that we've done to help you upgrade, move forward from whatever version you're on today, moving forward to a currently supported version, whether that's Office 2019 or Office 365. We'll talk about how easy it is and how easy we're going to make it to move to Office 365 once you do get to Office 2019. We've done a lot of work here to make this as dead simple easy as it can possibly get. We'll talk a little bit about how you can manage your network bandwidth. We know with click-to-run, updates are automatic, and so you're going to be expecting to receive updates on a monthly basis. We'll talk about how to manage that on your network, and a little bit about some 64-bit guidance. We have some updates there to share. Let's jump in. Office 2019, as Chanda shared, is our next version of perpetual on-prem, sometimes called volume license software. So for commercial customers, this is a one-time purchase. This means that when you buy Office, you get what's in the box, and we're not going to add features to that over time. Office 2019 will get security and quality updates, so we'll make sure to keep you secure, but you're not going to get any of the evolving features that we add to ProPlus. Office 2019 is still a per-device license, so you buy Office 2019 once for a device, it's licensed to that device. That's in contrast to ProPlus, where you buy Office for a user, and they can use Office on up to 5 PCs or tablets, across their mobile devices, across the web. Office 2019 is confined to just the one device that you buy it for. Office has been deployed in commercial environments for many, many years using a deployment technology called MSI. Who here knows what MSI stands for? Anybody? Anybody with a hand? No? Over here? Do we know what it is? MSI? Can you tell us? That's right, Microsoft Installer. Microsoft Installer came out in 1999, when the year started with 1. We introduced this with Office 2000. Windows Installer is not a bad deployment platform. It was a very capable platform, but it was designed for the technology at the time. And at the time, that was media-based installs. So if I gave you a swag bag today that had Office 2019 in it, and it had it on a CD, how many people in this room would be able to install it on the device that they brought with them to this conference? Anybody? 1 over here. I got 2. Out of the whole room, 2 people would be able to use it. So we don't exactly like that we're still on this deployment technology that was originated in so many years ago. And so we have created a new and more modern deployment platform that is designed for the internet age. We call that Click to Run. Click to Run is already in existence today. We use it today for all of our consumer Office installs and anybody who's on Office 365 today in the enterprise. So if you're running Office 365, you already have Click to Run. We're using Click to Run today on hundreds of millions of devices to deploy and install Office. So it is a capable platform that is designed to be modern and for the internet model of distribution of software. What we're changing with Office 2019 for the first time in a very long time is changing out MSI for Click to Run. And we're doing that because we want to bring all the benefits of that modern deployment platform to everyone, to all users. So Office 2019 commercial users will be the ones to finally get the benefits of Click to Run. We'll talk a little bit about what that means for Office 2019 users. A lot of the questions that I get when we say we're bringing Click to Run to Office 2019 is, do I still have to sign in? Does that mean my licensing changes? Does that mean I can't control updates? And our message about Click to Run for Office 2019 is that you can do all of the same things that you did with MSI and more. Office 2019 is designed for an environment where updates are continuous and keeping your device always up to date. So that means when you install, how many people have installed either Windows or Office and then immediately you go and check for Windows Update and it's got a whole slew of updates and it takes you longer to update than it took you to actually install the software? Has that ever happened to anyone? Click to Run solves that. Click to Run says you're up to date from the very moment you very first install, because we have the version that we keep up to date, and that means when you install right out of the bat, you're already up to date. And we keep you up to date with ongoing monthly updates. All updates with Click to Run are cumulative. So in the MSI world, you had to manage dozens or maybe even hundreds of patches, especially years after release. Those patches would pile up and pile up and pile up. With Click to Run, there's only ever one update at a time. It's a cumulative update, so you know, here's the one update that I have, it's the right one, and once I apply it, I'm completely up to date. There's nothing else for me to do. So we think that's an amazing benefit of Click to Run, and we're very proud to bring that to Office 2018 for all of our commercial users. Another question I get very, very frequently is, can I control it? I'm in charge of a network, or I'm in charge of a large number of devices, and I really want to control and manage how those updates come down and apply to my devices. Maybe I would like to deploy to a test group first before it goes to the entire organization. Can I control that with Click to Run? The answer is yes. we do expose the same level of manageability functionality in Click to Run that you have today in MSI. So if you're using something like System Center Configuration Manager to manage updates on your network, you can continue to do that with Office 2019. The best part of this is Click to Run is the common platform that we use across Office 2019 and Office 365. That means if you're in a hybrid state or you have moved some of your users to Office 365 and some are still on Office 2019, you can manage all of their updates with one common tool set. The underlying Click to Run platform applies to all of them, so your tools are the same and the interface is the same. Chanda addressed a little bit about licensing. Licensing for Office 2019 remains still a per-device license. So that means you buy it for that device, and you activate it once on that device. So our subscription products, Office 365, require a user sign-in and internet connectivity to continue to function. And that's so we can deliver ongoing value and also make sure that you still have the right license. For Office 2019, it's a per-device license, and it's a perpetual license, which means once you've installed it, once you've activated it, you're good to go. There's no more requirement for any sort of internet connection or connection to your internal licensing server. We do support the existing licensing methods that you have today with KMS and Mac. So if you're running a KMS server to license your Office devices today, you can continue to do so with Office 2019. If you have devices that need to not be connected to the internet at all, that will be supported in Office 2019. The last reason that we have brought Click to Run to Office 2019 is really about upgrades. I talk to so many customers who say, I'm really excited about the next version of Office. I'm really excited about those great new features in ProPlus, but it takes me so long to upgrade. It's such a huge hassle to move between versions of Office. And we've really put a lot of work into making those transitions much easier. Our first and our primary benefit is to move up to Office 365. Once you're on a Click to Run platform, that move to Office 365 is very, very easy. We do still allow you to remain in control. So there's nothing here that says users will move on their own pace. Admins always still control what happens on their network and with their software. But once you have Office 2019, that upgrade to Office 365 will be very, very easy. The easiest upgrade you've ever done. Chanda showed us a good diagram about how the features across Office stack up across versions. And I have a little bit of a deployment view on sort of that same perspective. And that is, as we release versions of Office, about every 3 years or so, we ask people to upgrade. And usually that's maybe a more arduous process than you might hope or expect for. Really what that means is every time a new version of Office comes out, I have to rethink about where is Office installed? What do I have to do to install it? What do I have to do to upgrade, move my settings, move my policies forward? And that can take time. And we don't like taking time in upgrades. We want to deliver that new version of Office and that new functionality to you as quickly as possible. Around about Office 2013 time, we introduced Office 365 as a way to avoid all of that work and that hassle of upgrading every couple of years. Office 365 is the platform that's designed to continually move forward without additional friction from your part, without you having to go through a major upgrade process. So if you're on Office 2016 today or earlier versions of MSI software, Office 2010 or Office 2013, our recommended upgrade for all people who are ready to go to Office 365 is directly from whatever version of Office you're on to Office 365. We've done some work here to make this upgrade much easier than it was in the past. This is a technology transition as much as it is a feature transition. And we have invested heavily here to make sure that that transition is very, very easy for you. If Office 365 is not quite right for you yet, we do have Office 2019. And I think about 2019 as a bridge or a stepping stone on the way to Office 365. So it's really if you're not quite ready to move to a subscription-based software suite yet, we do have Office 2019, which is still the perpetual on-prem licensed version. And you can move there while you get ready for Office 365. It really is part of the journey towards Office 365. You can use it as a stepping stone. What it does is it moves you forward onto our modern deployment platform, which is Click to Run, so that your future move to Office 365 will be that much easier. Again, once you're on the Office 365 platform, that continues to move forward without you doing anything additional. So we will continue to deliver features and functionality to Office 365 clients while the Office 2019 and older clients stay in place. Those older clients come with heavy costs to upgrade, and we want to remove that burden from you. We want to say, get on Office 365 and we'll do the hard work of adding additional features and functionality. I want to talk just about one little section here, which is about your upgrade from the older version onto Office 2019 or Office 365. And I sometimes call this an easy MSI upgrade, because this is everybody that is on your older software products today, 2010, 2013, 2016. What we hear from them is that I don't know all of the software that I have in my environment. It's really hard for me to go out to each PC, clean up all of the old Office versions that are on there, figure out what languages, what products are on there, clean them all up. I'm excited about Office 365. I want to get it on there, but I don't know how to remove the old versions. And we haven't done a really great job of helping you remove those old versions in the past. With Click to Run now, we have invested here to make this much easier. With our MSI upgrade functionality, we can remove any old versions of Office while keeping all of your user data in place. So all of the user settings stay in place, all of their preferences, all the documents stay in place, and we will remove any of the old Office software. One additional piece that we do here that we have never done before in Office upgrades is we will match the languages of the old Office software that you have on your machine, so your users are not disrupted as you replace the version of Office on their machine. This is not a separate step that you have to run. It's not a separate tool. It's not a separate download. You don't need any additional functionality to take advantage of this functionality. It's built into the deployment tools that we make available for Office 2019 and Office 365. And it's fully supported. So rather than having to go out to the internet and finding a sketchy set of scripts that purport to uninstall Office, and I will clean Office up for you, I will make Office ready, actually now you can just come to Microsoft and say, I'm ready to move, give me the one thing that I need to do to remove all the old versions of Office off my machine, and we'll take care of it for you. So we're very, very proud to have this functionality. We do have a session tomorrow about deployment where we'll dive into this one a little bit more, talk about exactly how to use it and what the benefits are. We'll have the link to that session at the end of this one. Back to our deployment overview path here. The one additional section that we wanted to touch on is here. Once you get to Office 2019, again, the reason that we created Office 2019 and built it on the Click to Run platform is really to make that transition to Office 365 in the future that much easier. And we do that because both products are on the Click to Run platform. This one is going to be the easiest upgrade yet. Once you have Office 2019, it's going to be a very, very easy transition from 2019 to 365. We've enabled 3 methods for this upgrade. As an admin, you can deploy Office 365 when you're ready. We would recommend that if you need to retain control of what the version of software you have in your environment is. This would be a normal deployment, just the same way you would deploy Office 365 today. When you do that, we will clean up any of your Office 2019 products. So that's the simplest and easiest one. The second one is you can let your users install Office themselves from the Office portal. So if they go to Office 365 portal and you've enabled install for them, they can install when they're ready if you enable that for them. This is an easy way for you to take your hands off the situation, say, I'm okay if you're on 2019, I'm okay if you're on 365, upgrade when you're ready on your device. The last method that we have, which is the newest one, is the one that we make the absolute easiest for you, and this is a policy setting-based upgrade. So if you have domain-joined computers that you manage and control in your environment, and you would not like to go through the heavy steps of actually pushing out a new Office product, but you're ready to move to Office 365, you can set a policy and we will look at that flag and say, oh, I see that the administrator has determined it's time for us to upgrade. We'll replace your Office 2019 software with Office 365. When we do this upgrade, we match your languages that you've already deployed, so your users won't be disrupted during this upgrade process. All user data is maintained. We keep your preferences. And the best part is any group policies you've deployed stay the same, and they apply for Office 2016, 2019, and Office 365. So I hear from a lot of folks that say, I have to go through a big security review every new version of Office. I have to check and check again. Is this the right configuration for my environment? Am I okay deploying this version of the software? What we've done here with Office 2019 and Office 365 is we've said all of those policies and settings will stay the same. We did that underneath as a way to make it easier for you to move. The last piece is that users can sign in either before or after this upgrade. So if you're in the midst of a transition to Office 365 and you're giving users access to Office 365 services, they can sign in with their Office 2019 client and access those. When you're ready to upgrade the client software, you can do that upgrade very easily and they will stay signed in. This is a fantastic benefit, we think, that really drives home the benefit and why we brought Office 2019 to the world with Click to Run. Another common question I get about Click to Run is, what happens to my network? If I am getting patches continuously, if I'm getting updates all the time, aren't all those clients going to eat up all of my network bandwidth? I have a large number of devices that I have to take care of. They're all going to get updated monthly. Aren't those patches just going to chew through all of my bandwidth? What we've done with Office 365, and a benefit that also accrues to Office 2019, is through a technology called binary delta compression, we have enabled the size of those security updates to be very, very small. So a monthly security update nowadays is about 50 megabytes. That's just for a normal monthly update. So that's what you can expect for Office 2019 for monthly updates on a per device basis. Now, some people say, well, I have a network and it's 10,000 or 100,000 devices. So even 50 megabytes is still a lot for me. And we do understand that. If you do prefer to deploy updates through your own managed infrastructure so that you can control internet egress, we do support that. So you can download patches yourselves, download the updates, and deploy them locally using your internal network. This is the case if you have PCs that are offline or not connected to the internet directly, or you would not like them to talk to the internet directly. We will support that using a managed infrastructure, similar to what you would do today with Windows Installer. But the last piece that we're very excited to talk about is integrating with Windows 10 technology called delivery optimization. We do have a session to dive in deep about this one, but I just wanted to highlight here today what delivery optimization can do for your network. Delivery optimization is built into Windows 10, and it really is a peer-to-peer method of distributing software and software updates. We have deployed this internally at Microsoft for updates, and we've seen, really without much effort at all, reduction of 75% or more of your internet egress bandwidth. The advantage of this is that you don't have to maintain your own infrastructure. So you don't have to maintain a set of servers or file shares or SCCM distribution points. You can just say, I have Windows 10, I would like all my devices to be updated, and I don't want to eat up a lot of internet bandwidth. And this will be enabled and on by default. If you need additional control for your network, that is available through group policy for those Windows 10 devices. You can also, if you have specific network requirements, you can fine-tune those for your specific requirements. We have a whole session about Windows 10 delivery optimization that you can dive into later this week. We'll have that one again listed at the end of the session. Excuse me. Office has been available in 32 and 64 bits for several years now. But up until this point, we've always recommended that you deploy Office in a 32-bit configuration. That was mostly for compatibility reasons. A lot of the rest of the world hadn't moved on to the future and weren't quite ready. A lot of the add-ins or other things that interacted with Office weren't quite ready for a change to 64-bit. And so we had held back on that recommendation and on the default. I'm very pleased to say that with Office 2019 and also on Office, beginning with Office 365 now, that we are updating our recommendation and the defaults to be 64-bit across the board. We are very pleased to be able to make this update because of the evidence that we've seen with 64-bit compatibility. So the rest of the industry is ready now. Security and quality are at par with 32-bit software. And so now you can finally take advantage of the power of that hardware and a 64-bit operating system. You can actually leverage the advantage of all of that inside Office, particularly for those large workloads in Excel or Access, where you really need the horsepower of the machine. So this change is a little bit of an announcement and a little bit of a signal that for new installs going forward, the default for Office install will be for 64-bit. That applies to Office 2019 and 365. As the admin, again, you are still in control of what happens to your client's PCs, but our recommendation is 64-bit. You can choose whatever your particular configuration may need to be for your requirements. With this update and with this recommendation, there's no change to any existing installs. So we will not automatically migrate anything for you. If you decide that the time is right, you can definitely make that change. But this one is mostly for new installs. So if you're upgrading from an older version of Office, if you're deploying something new, 64-bit is definitely our recommendation and the default. The one additional piece is that if you're installing a piece of software, an additional Office product where one already exists, we'll do the smart thing, we will match the one that already exists on the machine. So if you're adding something like Project or Visio onto a machine that already has Office on it, we'll do the right thing there. We'll match what's already existing. Just want to go over a couple of the supported enterprise deployment scenarios that we have for Office. And these really come out of the fact that we're built on Click to Run. With Click to Run, we publish all of our Office software up to the Office CDN. And that's the normal default method of install for Office 365 subscribers today who log into the portal. They can log in, they can run their install, and the latest version of the software from the CDN will be installed onto their machine. It's a very simple, easy way for you to get Office onto your users' computers because we take care of the infrastructure. So you don't need to maintain a copy of Office on your own internal servers. You don't need to keep anything updated. You don't need to worry about what the latest patches are. We take care of that. And if you want your hands off, we will take care of making sure that those clients are installed up to date and they stay up to date. Now, there are some organizations who have requirements for disconnected scenarios. They say, actually, my devices can't actually talk to the internet, or I don't have enough bandwidth to talk to the internet. And that's okay. We do support you downloading a copy of the latest into your local network. You can put it on an internal file share, mirror it however you want inside your organization, and keep your apps up to date that way. So that's fully supported with Click to Run on Office 2019 and Office 365. The last one would be if you have some strict or complex manageability requirements. If you're using a tool like System Center Configuration Manager and you need to have absolute control over what version or what patch is applied to any given machine, you can still do that with Click to Run. So we will support any of those methods depending on what your preference is for manageability or ease of use. I'll close out here by just highlighting the way that we think about Office 2019 here as a bridge to Office 365. So even though it is an announcement today for Office 2019 that it's new and it's available now, we want to make sure that we position that correctly, and that really is as a stepping stone on your way to Office 365. So Office 365 is still our default recommendation and the one that we would encourage you to adopt. If you're not quite ready for Office 365, we do have Office 2019 available for any of those per device licensing scenarios, offline scenarios that you need. I wanted to highlight just a couple of relevant sessions that you might be interested in if you're here today. The one at the top is probably the one that you might be most interested in if you are a deployment, in charge of deployments at your organization. That one will be tomorrow afternoon, and we'll talk about the scenarios that we looked at here today for those upgrades, both from older MSI versions of Office to new Click to Run, and also that 2019 to 365 upgrade. We'll dive a little bit deeper there to see exactly how that works, how you can control it, and how to enable that in your organization. Also, we will be at the Office 365 ProPlus booth after this session. If you have additional questions and would like to come hit us up.
And just to add to that, we will also be there. If you come to the Office 365 booths, you'll see that we have office hours. So if you're stopping by, ask your questions, happy to answer. There will be folks there, both from engineering and marketing there to help answer questions. And then we also have dedicated office hours for Office 2019, for if you have Excel-specific questions. And so check us out in the booth down at the Expo Hall. And then one final reminder or announcement is that the Office engineering team is also interested in looking for feedback from customers. And so they will be in the Beryl Springs room in the Hyatt, running focus groups if you're interested to provide some of that feedback. If you're interested, definitely come find us in the booths, either myself or any of the other people staffing. So with that, I think we will open it up for questions. And there are mics up here.
We have mics up the front for any of your questions about Office 2019 or deployment, Click to Run. We can handle those for just a couple minutes. Otherwise, we won't keep you here too much longer. Yes, over here.
Quick question regarding Office 2019 for Mac. The Click to Run that you described, does that apply to both PC and Mac, or is Click to Run only PC?
Yeah, Click to Run is specific to PC only. We do have some improvements for Mac, but nothing to share here today.
So Office 2019 to be installed on a Mac would have to be basically a company-wide deployment.
Yeah, I would say come follow up with us in the booth about your Mac deployments. I think we'll have some other news to share with you.
Great. Thank you.
Oops. Here in the center.
So he stole my question, but I have another question. Other question is there any plan to release Visio or Project on Mac?
Visio or Project on Mac.
Not with Office 2019. There will be no Visio or Project for Mac.
Or like a web version? No?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me follow up with, yeah, if you can stick around after or in the booth, I can make sure to follow up with you on that.
Thank you.
Let's see, we got a couple over here.
Just curious, we're primarily on Office 365 already, but we are 32-bit. Will the new package, will there be any way to convert that to 64-bit easily, or are we going to have to do full uninstall, full reinstall on our own?
That's a great question. We definitely understand the desire to move from 32-bit to 64-bit. I don't think we have anything to share here today about that. We do understand that that is a pretty difficult transition, and I think we'd like to work to improve that in the future.
So we also have some 2013 perpetual still, about 2,000 in our organization. We run those to the upgrade to 2019. Do they have to go 32 to 32, or can we do the 64 at that time?
Yeah, that's another great question. So we can do that transition from 32 to 64 at the time that you do your major upgrade transition, and that would be one migration only. So you can do the conversion at the same time, all in one piece. Yep. Over here.
Excuse me if I'm a bit dense, but for Office 365, ProPlus, Click to Run, Office 2016, the rolling subscription model, if you've got semi-annual targeted and monthly, so you're running along, you've been doing that for, hypothetically, let's say a couple of years.
Yep.
So Office 2019 really isn't a discussion, maybe that's overstated in a way, it's not really even it's not something, I need to clarify in my mind and then back for the folks that I work for, that Office 2019, these are my words, is essentially just a catalyst to get you to click to run. Office 20, asked another way, sorry. Is there a point in time when Patch Tuesday rolls around on any of those versions where I would be having a discussion, and in that discussion the terminology would be, hey, we are now running Office 2019 click to run? Because there's a lot of documentation out online that uses kind of that lingo. It's very confusing for me.
I'm not sure if your question is, will we move anybody automatically to 2019?
No. If you've already got click to run, all right, a click to run technology, we've been using it for years. Yep. Where I work. So 2019 is not even a discussion. There's nothing that says, hey, we're now running 2019.
Right, yeah. This is a good question. Office 2019 is a separate perpetual product from the Office 365 subscription products that are on Click to Run today. So even though the deployment platform is the same amongst them, Office 2019 is a separate product.
I'll go way after this. So okay. There's a lot of, for the comments and all that, there's a lot of documentation that I've poured through, not just me, a bunch of guys, a bunch of folks, that it's just not clear what 2019 is. Not trying to be a smart aleck or anything like that. It's just, it's tough to really get your head around what.
Yeah, and I think where we see a lot of confusion is that people associate Click to Run with our subscription products today. And now that we're delivering 2019 with Click to Run, there's some confusion between those two. I think that's why we try and highlight here today that 2019 is a separate product. It happens to be delivered via Click to Run, so we can bring all the benefits of that deployment platform to perpetual folks also, but it doesn't affect the subscription over here. Over here? Oh, we got one over here, yes. Oh, I'm not sure if we got the far mic. We're working on it.
Get the middle one? Oh, working now? Okay. I have two questions. One is that with regards to 365, the way that I look at the updates, we're using 2016 MSI, so the way that I look at updates is that it automatically updates. You can like defer updates a little bit, like through the admin portal. So like if you want to do 1 month or anything like that. For 2019, how is that working? Is that group policy based where you're able to control like what updates you want to push out?
Yeah, so 2019 is not connected to any cloud-based portal. So there's no cloud administration. But if you're using any of your on-prem administration tools like System Center Configuration Manager, you can control the updates through there.
Okay. And then the next thing is, I may have missed because I was like 5 minutes late, the send later feature. I mean, that seems kind of like delay delivery, right? But it's just an easier, I guess, simpler option.
So send later is, I showed that on the Office 2019 for Mac. So send later is coming to Mac. And then on Windows and Outlook, you have the delayed delivery, as you mentioned.
Okay, all right. Perfect, thanks.
Thank you. Last three over here.
Yeah, quick question, I think. On your previous slide, there was an asterisk that it seems to me very important at the bottom.
Go ahead.
Can you explain that, please?
Yes. So real-time collaboration features, so if you think of like real-time editing in a Word document or in a PowerPoint deck, those features will be in Office 365 ProPlus, but they won't be part of 2019. Because with Office 2019, you don't necessarily have to be connected to the internet. Like once you get those features downloaded, or once you get the feature updates, that's it. Whereas with real-time collaboration, that would be something in the Office 365 ProPlus.
I only ask because we're in 2016 MSI, we're using co-authoring with SharePoint on-prem, and it works just fine. So is this something that's going away in 2019? Or?
So it's not, we're not taking features back. It's if you wanted to do real-time co-authoring on Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, so across those apps, that would be ProPlus. Whatever you have in 2016 now, you will still be able to do it in 2019. We're just not adding anything more.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Last two, and then we'll let everyone go.
Fair enough. Is there a story behind runtime? So some companies.
Are you asking about the access runtime?
Runtimes, yeah. Some small businesses may not even realize that they have access runtime running in the background, right?
Yep.
And so is the uninstaller going to install runtimes as well? And is there a future runtime?
I would like to follow up with you directly. We do have a click-to-run version of the access runtime. I think we'd love to hear more about what your scenarios are so that we can continue to support those in the future.
Cool, thanks.
Great.
So OneNote, in documentation that came out earlier this year, Office 2016 was going to be the last version with OneNote included, and then it was moving to the Windows 10 version of OneNote.
Yep.
So 2019 shows OneNote. Is it staying, going, moving?
The version of OneNote included with Office 2019 is the 2016 version of OneNote. There is no 2019 version of OneNote. With Windows 10, the modern version of OneNote is already included. That's the one that is the path forward. For compatibility reasons, the 2016 version is included with the desktop suite.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Then, we're going to squeeze one last one in.
Yeah, just a question regarding the bandwidth reduction. So I saw you mentioned something about the delivery. And what about the usual consumption when you use O365? Basically, you have a lot of connection, open TCP connection through the team clients, Skype for Business, OneDrive, and so on. And that it's a real impact for a company network, basically. So is somehow you have modified something to improve that point?
The reason we're able to make bandwidth reductions for updates is because the same bits are going to many different PCs, so we can collapse those and get efficiencies there. If it's different communications across the different clients, everybody's getting their different email or documents, there's not too much we can do to reduce the size of those.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you everyone for attending. We definitely appreciate your attendance.
Thank you.